want to welcome you guys to this year's panel of speakers. As Academy members, each one of you has the opportunity to engage with industry personnel. That is one of the reasons why we pride ourselves here at Palmview High School Academies, that we link not only high educational achievement, but also we give you, the students, the opportunity to have presentations with industry members that have firsthand experience in some of the career choices that you want to join into. So during today's panel of speakers, we do have our ambassadors that are going to be walking around. They will be passing around iPads for you to ask questions. I will receive the question up here in my iPad, and then I will read out the questions over to our panelists. Our panelists will each have the opportunity to answer your questions. I do ask that you remain attentive throughout the presentation. Our panelists are taking time out of their busy day to come and speak with you. So I do want to ensure that each and every one of you pays close attention to what they have to say, and that we are respectful, as we should be in any of our assemblies. So as we get started, like I mentioned, I am Mr. Bocanera. I am the T-STEM Academy Director, and this morning we're honored to have a panel of distinguished speakers. What I'm going to have them do at this time is that we can have each one of you introduce yourselves, starting from this end and then ending on that end, please.
Good morning, everybody. My name is John Reynoso. I'm a special agent with Homeland Security Investigations in McAllen. I've been a special agent for 3 years now. I previously worked in intelligence in Washington, D.C., and before that I was an investigative assistant in Miami with HSI. So not a lot of people have heard of HSI. HSI is Homeland Security Investigations, and we investigate things, anything that coming in and out of the country. Could be drugs, money, guns, technology. I'm assigned to a child exploitation task force, so I do a lot of internet crimes against children investigations.
You can clap. Just
Yeah, you can clap, guys.
There you go. Good morning. My name is Diego Silva. I work for Buckner International. We are a social service agency. So I'm in the public sector, but from a nonprofit side of things. So we provide services to vulnerable children and families throughout the Valley, the state of Texas, Latin America, and Kenya. I also do a little bit of work with the federal government. I'm a USDA fellow, so we're looking at different ways on how we can bring more resources to the Valley so that we can build some wealth, so we can build prosperity here, so we can provide families a better chance to live out their their dreams and what they're supposed to do. So I've been in the Valley for 7 years. I'm originally from Brazil. And grew up in Austin, Texas, so kind of been around everywhere. So, thank you.
Good morning, students. We're very happy for you all to be here today. My name is Lucas Castile. I am a professional engineer. I am a structural engineer. I'm also a lecturer at the University of Texas in the Rio Grande Valley. I teach engineering courses, especially structural, and of course other civil engineering as well. I am from the Valley. I was born in Michigan, part of a migrant family. Some of you guys can relate to that. I grew up here, and I stayed here, okay? I like to right now I am also owner. I have my own engineering firm, and I want to give back as much as the Valley has given back to me. We're here to help you out in any way we can, answer any of your questions, and please don't be embarrassed to ask anything. That's why we're here.
Hey guys, I'm Maria Pruneda. I'm a second-year student at UTRGV majoring in civil engineering, and I'm considered a junior already. Also, I'm a graduate from Mission High School, one of the top 10. It's not that hard. But I'm really glad I'm here today. I really hope you all can have a bunch of questions, and I hope I can help answer them.
Good morning. My name is Brisa Rodriguez. I am also second year at UTRGV. We are part of the ASE student chapter, which is for civil engineers. And, well, that's pretty much it. That's it.
Thank you all. We're going to go ahead and get started with the questions. The first question is going directly to Professor Castillo, describe your journey to where you are today, and specifically, what made you decide your major career choice?
Oh, you just got right to the point, right? Forgive me if I get teary-eyed. It can get very emotional. It wasn't, well, since I said I was a part of a migrant family, I started working as soon as I was born. A lot of you all understand that. Some of you do. As soon as I could be able to walk, I was already in the fields picking onions. I used to do that are you familiar with Sherry Road? Those beautiful big houses? Most of you guys don't know that, but those used to be onion fields. And I know that because I used to pick them there with my dad and my brothers. There were miles and miles of onion fields. We were on our knees from the morning till the night. And I'll tell you what, I hate onions. And the reason I went to school is so I won't have to do hard labor like that. Okay? Those things that we have growing up are kind of like what kind of guides you and makes you the person who you are. The family and the people that are around you kind of mold you into the character you are today. The choice I really went into, I wanted to originally be a math teacher. That was my priority. But after being in college, the people that you meet there have an influence on what you're going to be doing. And over the time, engineering came into play. And understanding where I belong is just that starting to see the different types of engineering that's out there. A lot of people hear the word engineer, but really don't understand what they do. And I'll be honest, I didn't know either. It's not until I started being more exposed to it that I got an understanding and starting to like that. And with that, I still love to, with engineering, I can still use my passion for mathematics, but to apply it into something else. Does that make sense? I'm sorry I took a little too long, but yeah.
That's
Well,
fine, sir.
it's just one of those things that you never know where you're going to wind up. Right now, you guys are still too young. You're barely growing and seeing things for yourself. But I'll be honest with you, education is a path that you have to go. If you don't want to struggle in life, if you don't want to work as hard as others, decide to go to school and make college your priority.
Thank you, Mr. Castillo. Next question is for Agent Reynoso. Agent Reynoso, please describe an average day in your job.
So average day is not like a typical day in any job you'll ever work when you are a special agent. Every day that I ever work is always different. I've never had the same day twice. Some mornings can start out at 5 in the morning. You're putting your gear on, you make sure all of you have your safety equipment, and you're there to execute a search warrant. A lot of times there's a operational plan that goes on before that, so usually we're hitting the door at 6 in the morning, so we have to be there around 5:30 to talk about all of the things that are going on in that house, because when you enter a house, it's a very unsafe environment. So it can be anything from that to watching a car, watching a house for movement, which is people coming in and out. It depends on the type of investigation you're working. I assist many different groups that do different crimes. So if it is a drug house where they have typical movements that they have, if it's a child exploitation investigation, there's certain things that you're looking for. If it's human smuggling or human trafficking, if we're looking for victims, there's different things you're looking for. With my job, you travel around the world. You could travel around the country. You could travel around the valley. It depends on what group you're in and what type of investigation you have. Everything is self-initiated with my job. Yes, you're helping and assisting other people in your group, but I basically get to dictate how my day is from the morning until whatever time I want to work. Everything's your own responsibility. They give you a lot of freedom in my job, but at the end of the day, what I do is I do child exploitation investigations, so I'm up sometimes late writing reports because there are a lot of victims out there and there's a lot of crimes that you have to investigate. So depending on what you do, your day will change. But it can range from anything from doing a search warrant to doing surveillance to writing reports, a lot of reports. So English is definitely something that you want to pay attention to because, when you're going to testify and someone's reading your report and it doesn't look that good, then you don't look that good. So it could be anything from, like I said, search warrant to making an arrest to going to your job and writing reports.
Thank you, sir. Next question is for Mr. Castillo. I'm sorry, for Mr. Diego Silva. Mr. Silva, students ask, what do you have to adapt to once you get a job?
It's a great question. I think adaptability is probably one of the biggest things that you will need as you leave high school and as you leave college. There's a term that I like to use. It's called learning agility. It's the ability to always, being able to understand what's going on around you, to understand the needs of your clients or, of your patients or the people that you're trying to serve, and then doing something about that. If it's, getting continuing education or looking at your own self-interest, what do I need to change about, my view, about my biases and things like that. So, but the biggest thing is that, for me, I remember graduating high school and college and saying, okay, what's next, right? For the most part in your life, an adult is trying to tell you what to do, right? Right? You have a teacher, you have parents, or you have, a counselor, or you have a mentor, or you have a college professor. Somebody's telling you what to do. And then you graduate college, and that's it. Nobody's telling you that you have to go to class or you have to go to work. So taking that initiative to understand that, hey, I need to take responsibility for my actions, and I will be successful as much as the work that I put in, into my success. So understanding that, we have to change our approach and who we are sometimes, not as a foundation, but how we express ourselves. It's important. So think about that, learning agility, being able to adapt, because the world is always changing. All of these guys know this. The world is always changing. And depending on the field that you're going to go in, it's changing every day. So that's what I would say.
Thank you, sir. Our next question is for Maria Bruneta. Maria, what is it like to want to study in a field that is predominantly dominated by male employers?
So you actually think that there's a lot more guys than girl engineers, and that's true. But in civil engineering, we're proud to say that at UTRGV, we have the highest amount of girls in the whole nation in civil engineering.
That's awesome.
But overall, I guess it's kind of like they're pretty sexist sometimes, including the professors. No, they're good. But they're pretty they think that it's all, girls, especially I'm talking to girls right now, don't think that it's just for guys, because it's not. It's really not. We have over 600 students right now enrolled at UTRGV in civil engineering, and over 33% of them are girls. So it's a huge fraction of the whole degree plan. So then it's hard, but it's not as hard as you think. And especially since we're girls and then we're Latinas, the majority of us here, so it's kind of you really stand out and it helps. And since you're a girl, they don't see a lot of girls because it's as you go up in your classes, a lot of people fail, a lot of people start going slower than others because they're having trouble with class, and it's normal. There's people that are used to getting A's, then they get a C in the class and they I'm gonna drop out. You don't have to. It's normal. It really is normal for you to get low grades in college. So it's not really hard, but it is challenging. So I hope that answered your question.
Thank you. Next question is for Brisa Rodriguez. Can you give us benefits of being in ASCE?
Okay, well, ASCE is Association for Civil Engineers. I joined last year. Last year was my first year in UTRGV, and I was scared. I did not know anything about civil engineering. I was actually doing mechanical, and I transferred. I don't know why. I winged it, and I love it now. It helps you a lot. Honestly, it opens opportunities. They guide you in classes. You meet a lot of people, a lot of friends. And when you're looking for a job, an internship, it stands out. Like, they love that you're involved in university. Even if you're not in engineering, you're in another major. Being in an organization helps you a lot. It opens a lot of doors for you. And they like that you're involved, 100%. And it's amazing. You meet a lot of people, and you meet your friends, your new friends. So, yeah.
Thank you. Professor Castillo, the next question is for you. As one of our panelists, you wear two hats, one as of an engineer and the second hat as an educator. We have students in the audience that want to be educators in their career. As an educator, what is one of the hardest things that you have encountered in the classroom?
People getting there on time. I'm kidding. At college is a lot different from high school. Being an educator, I could understand, why teachers are teachers. It's a very rewarding job. You have the ability to influence children, to influence adults, and to make a difference in someone's life. With just your presence or just the way you are, you can mold these kids to become confident in themselves. The hardest obstacle I have facing college, there's a big difference between teaching at the university and teaching in high school. High school, you have to deal with parents. College, we assume that you guys are grown-ups, and your ability to make decisions are now based on what you make, on your decision, or you can do it on your own now. One of the hardest things I have from teaching is, to be honest, I'll be honest with you, to keep yelling at them. We're engineers. We have a very, very respectful job, another title. Professional engineer is even higher than that. When you're called a professional engineer, you're almost equivalent to a doctor, if not more. And the reason we say that is because we are responsible for a lot of things, and safety is one of them. And me being a professional engineer, I bring that to the classroom. If you're late, I call you out on it. If you don't turn in your work, I call you out on it. And I do yell at you in front of everybody. Don't be upset. But we do this is because if you can't handle me in the classroom, how can you handle being an engineer in the field? It sounds very harsh, I know, considering today's times, but I was brought up in the 70s and the 80s. Don't try to guess my age. But I was brought up in a different time, a different element, and we didn't have these things to run away to. Okay? That type of experience is what we try to do. I try to mold the student into a respectful, professional human being that is ready to do what they went to school for. So the hardest thing I say is to restrain myself from pushing these kids too hard to be the best they can be. Okay? And one thing that you have to understand, if you choose a field such as civil engineering, in the great state of Texas, every school is required to have at least one professional engineer on the faculty. That is a state law. So you're not dealing with just people that went to college and never left. You're dealing with faculty that went to college, worked for a couple of years, and came back to share the knowledge with you. That is what we do.
Thank you, sir. Next question is for Agent Reynoso. Sir, as part of a law enforcement agency that employs thousands of individuals, do you see a need within your agency for medical employees? We have students in the audience that want to pursue a degree in medicine or become doctors or RNs. Is there a link between law enforcement and the need for medical care?
So I can only speak for my agency. We don't have any paid medical staff, but we have a number of individuals who teach firearms or are part of investigations that have a medical history We have a lot of former EMT, medical trained professionals that can quickly, if a bad day happens in the field and someone gets shot, they could respond. They'll be on scene to triage the situation. Those types of things that are very necessary for an agency to have those individuals involved in, because whenever we have a range day, most of our accidents happen when we're at the fire range. It's always good to have someone that has a trained experience and medical history present, because if things go down, it'll be in the operation plan, it'll be in the instructions that this is the highest medical training professional that we have on our staff, and they're there to just in case anything happens. And for example, there was an accident at the range. Someone was trying a new holster, and they weren't used to it, and they accidentally shot themselves in their leg. Luckily, we had trained medical EMT that prior EMTs on our staff that were able to give him a tourniquet, patch the wound, and drive him to the hospital, and he has full function in his legs, and he's okay. But you know, it's always important to have one or two people that have previous medical experience.
Thank you, sir. So students, just a friendly reminder, as I mentioned earlier, these individuals are taking time from their day to be here with you. I do ask that all of the side conversations do stop. Please make sure that we do have your undivided attention up front. We want to be respectful of their time since they're taking time from their day to be here with you. Our next question is for Mr. Diego Silva. Mr. Silva, what type of employment opportunities or internship opportunities do you think that Buckner Family Hope Center can provide for our students?
That's great. So we work with a lot of social workers. So if you are thinking about going into the social work field, we can definitely, work with you and connect with you on that. But we also have folks from different industries. We deal with people. We deal with people. So people's issues, they come in, they have some kind of need. So sometimes we get nurses. We have gotten some law enforcement folks on trying to learn how to read body language and things like that. So those are some of the areas that we train in as social services. Is how do we read you? If somebody comes and they're asking for help, most of what they're trying to say is not through words, but it's through their body language. So those are some of the opportunities that we have. Working with children, working with families. You can go to the website buckner.org or just go Google and search Buckner Family Hope Center in Peñitas, and you can get our phone number. Give us a call, and we'll be more than happy to talk to you about how you can serve. We also have tons of volunteer opportunities throughout the valley on how you can serve and give back to your community. But yeah, I don't know. Hopefully that answers your question.
Thank you, Mr. Silva. The next question is for Brisa Rodriguez. Brisa, as a student at the university, what word of advice would you give to our current high school students who are getting ready to transition to a university?
Don't be scared. That's all I have to say. I was scared, like I said before, but there's people to help you out, to guide you, and to welcome you to the department that you're choosing for your major, for your life, for everything. People are there for you. There's resources. There's literally everything handed to you. All you have to do is look for them. So don't be scared. Don't be like, oh, I'm not good for this. You are good for this. So just do you and have fun, because that's what college is for. So yeah.
Thank you. Maria, this next question is for you. Professor Castillo brought up the point of being punctual. Could you build up on that as a current university student, the importance of punctuality?
Okay, so there's professors that have online classes, there's professors that have lectures, which are like face-to-face, and there's professors that don't mind you getting late, there's professors that if you get there past 5 minutes late, they lock the door, so you can't go in. And the most professors give you like 15% of your grade is your attendance. And sometimes if you get there late, it's like, it didn't count for today. And after, I believe, 3 or 6 absences, they're gonna ask you to drop the class, which means it's gonna be like, you just gave up on the class and you had to leave. So it's a waste of money, it's a waste of time, not just for you, but for your professors, because I mean, like right now, I'm missing out on class, but I did speak to my professor. That's why it's also important that, oh, if you have a family emergency or like me, I came to represent the department. I talked to my professor and he excused me for the week. And it's like not like the same class every day. It's a class for 2 days out of the week, sometimes 3 days. So it's like, oh, I'm not gonna miss a whole week, so I'm gonna miss just 2 days, but in college, 2 days is a whole week. So it's, if you miss, there's professors that sometimes kids show up like 10 minutes before the class ends, and it's like, what's the point? The professor takes attendance in the beginning. But it is very important to be punctual, because like I said, there's professors that lock the door after 5 minutes. Some of them lock 5 minutes before class starts, so you have to get there super early. So it's very important to be there on time because your grade depends on it. There's professors that make it 15%. I have a professor that makes it 50% of your grade for attendance and 50% for participation. So it's very important to be on time.
Thank you. Agent Reynoso, this next question is for you. An audience member wants to know, what was the process that you took to become an ICE agent?
So there's only 5,000 HSI special agents in the country. Put in perspective, there's like 50,000 Border Patrol agents. It's a very specialized job that not a lot of people know about. It's comparable to being an FBI agent or an ATF agent or a DEA agent, if you guys have ever heard. The process for HSI is different. My process specifically is that they had put out an announcement on the USA Jobs, and usajobs.gov is the website that most of the federal government uses to hire positions. So they put the position out, it's called Criminal Investigator Special Agent, and what you do is you apply. And when you apply, you have your college transcripts, you have your work experiences, you have your resume already done, already ready to go, and you upload it into the system. And then they ask specific questions, and they call them KSAs. It's knowledge, skills, and abilities. And what they do is they ask you questions like, do you have experience doing this? Do you have experience doing this? Do you have experience doing this? And from there, you get a score. So they'll put you in a rating position, and your 90th percentile is what you want to be at in order to get referred to the next position. So with us, after that, they refer you for a test. And what the test is, it's logical reasoning. They'll do arithmetic, which is math, and they'll do a writing sample, and also an English section. So they all have it at one stop. So they'll do all that. They'll tell you if you pass or fail, and then you'll go on to an interview. And the interviews that we give for HSI is scenario-based. They'll say, let's say you're babysitting somebody and there's a robbery in progress. What are you going to do? So there's different situations. They like, if you're on surveillance and this happens and this happens, and what they're trying to do is see your train of thought and how you react to different situations and different times. From there, they give you a personal interview. They give you a medical. A medical is to make sure that you are physically able to perform the duties of law enforcement. And then from there, they'll give you a physical test. So you have to run a mile and a half. You have to do push-ups and sit-ups a certain amount within a minute and a half. And then you have to do sprinting. So it's a lengthy process, and what it's designed to do is make sure that they're hiring the best people for the position because it's such a competitive position. After you go through that process, you have to go through, you're basically a trainee, and you have to go to academy for 6 months. So our academy is held at the Federal Law Enforcement Academy. It's in Georgia. For 3 months, you go to a basic special agent training, and we're paired with the ATF, we're paired with Secret Service and different agencies, and we go through a course that's 3 months. And they give you tests, they teach you tactics, they teach you how to handcuff, they teach you the law, the Constitution, what you can, what you can't do. And then from there, you go through another academy, which is another 3 months, designed for HSI specific, or Secret Service or DEA or ATF or whoever it is, and they'll teach you the laws that you're going to enforce. Like for me, we enforce customs laws and we enforce immigration laws. So they were very heavy on commercial trade, on immigration, on drugs, money laundering, things like that. So from there, and then you have a year probation. So it's really like a 3 or 4 year long process before you're guaranteed the job for a long time. So that's basically what we have to go through.
Thank you, sir. We are going to be coming to a close of our panel of speakers. Before we leave, I do just have one more comment or question for our panelists. And I would like for each one of you to just express, if possible, a few words, the importance of persistence. So as students, you understand, ladies and gentlemen, that in high school, you have 4 years to obtain your high school diploma. However, after that, it is up to you and the will within each one of you to continue on and make something of yourselves. They mentioned earlier that education is the key for each one of you to be successful. So in a few words, if you could give the importance of persistence. And if we can start on the farther end and then come over here.
Persistence.
P-E-R.
Yeah. A few words of it. Have it for college. You need it, and it's gonna help you for your classes, for sure. You have to push it. You have to push it in college. You have to be persistent with your professors, especially when you don't understand something, and everyone's there in the room, and nobody knows what's going on, and they're not asking questions. Ask the questions. Push it when there's a grade and you didn't like your grade and you knew that you could do better. Be persistent and push it for the next test so you can do better. Always do better. That's what I have.
Persistence. Well, there's being persistent with your classes, persistent with your attendance, persistent with our organization. So we're both part of ASC. I'm vice president. She's treasurer. It's our second year. We're sophomores, but we're really classified as juniors. And it's like, if you're persistent, as in you show up constantly to the meetings for ASCE, you show up to competitions, you get a lot of advantages. You get like a little break when we go to symposium, which is the competition we go to, and we hosted last year. And it's like being persistent made me noticed. I'm persistent with my professors, as in I show up to class, I turn in my work on time, and they notice it, so they appreciate it. So when I get like, I really can't turn it in, or I didn't understand this, they'll be understanding. For ASC, I'm persistent, as in I go to every single meeting, I show up on time, I show up way before time sometimes, and they see that, so they know that they can trust me with responsibilities. And for my classes in general, the more persistent you are, the more reliable you seem. And it really helps, because in the future, when you're like, you have a 79 and the professor's like, no, like that's it. There's professors that even if you have a 79.9, you'll get the C. So you have, like, if you're persistent, like, well, he tried all year, she tried all year, they worked their butt off, and they'll be like, okay, you get the B. Sometimes they're so nice that they give you the A. So persistence really gets you a long way.
That doesn't work on me. Persistent, I guess, in a sense that, are you trying to achieve a certain goal?
Yes, in other words, for them to continue pushing forward.
Okay, well, a lot of you kids already have your future set out based on what type of social class you're in. And a lot of you all just don't want to have anything to do with education, which is okay. We need people to flip burgers, and we need people to change oil and wash cars. But if you don't want to be that person, you got to set goals for doing something better for yourself. No one's going to tell you how to do it. Some of you all have parents that do push that on you. Am I correct? Some of you all don't have parents that don't give you the time of day. It's okay. We've all had different scenarios, and you don't have to have a reason to justify why you don't want to move forward. I was in the same boat, and someone just told me straight out, you're just making excuses for yourself. And we make excuses and we try to justify our failures. We try to justify why we don't do our homework. We try to justify why we get there late. And you all know it's because you're responsible for being late or not doing your homework or doing something that was asked. And that's why I like to say you just make excuses for yourself. But being persistent towards your goals will help you achieve even more goals. All you have to do is just set one goal in front of you and finish it. Your main goal here right now is to, anybody? Besides listen to us, and besides to figure out what's for lunch, what is your main goal for being here at the school? To graduate. I can't hear you guys. You gotta say it loud enough. Oh, you guys are very excited to graduate, right? It's all right. I was the same thing. When I graduated, I worked for 4 years. I didn't go straight to school. I was a fry cook. I was SpongeBob. I rather love that job, I'll be honest with you. Why? Because it wasn't so much responsibility. But I wanted things that I couldn't afford at that job. And I set goals. And I was persistent in achieving those goals. And now I could pretty much get whatever I want. Because I'm persistent in doing what I need to do to get what I want. Okay? So when you leave here today, understand this. No one's going to hold your hand when you graduate. Am I making sense? No one's going to tell you it's time to change the oil in the car, except your car maybe, the way things are now. No one's going to tell you you have to go fill out this form and turn it in. No one's going to tell you you have to go to the doctor. Well, some of you guys maybe until you're 30, but start as soon as you get out of high school. Start setting goals for yourselves. Start making something for yourself. You understand? Be someone. Don't just be that guy that's living with your mom and dad. Okay? So set out to be something great and be persistent on achieving that goal. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. They like you, man. So I will say two things. One, take risks, okay? You're going to fail. All of us have, all right? You're going to fail at something. That does not define who you are. Failure does not define who you are, right? Now, how you respond to failure does. In my line of work, with my team, with the people that I get the pleasure to lead every day, if they're not taking risks and they're not failing, then they will not be part of my team for very long, okay? So make sure that when whatever goal that you have, that you set for you, work towards you. And if you fail, look back, trying to figure out what you did wrong, and do it again. And the second thing is, you and me and all of us, we're not promised tomorrow. Okay, I can get out of here, get in an accident, and die. Right? That could happen, right? This life is short. Is this wood? No. Here. This life is short. Okay, I don't have time to hang out with people that will not build me up. I don't have time to do activities that will not set me up for success. But those are decisions that I have to make, right? Those are decisions that I have to make. So those are the two things that just come to persistent, is that make sure that you take risks and that you will fail, but that you turn around, try to figure out what you did wrong and do it again, and then look around you. Who are the people that you're hanging out with? Are they setting you up for success or they're holding you back? That's up to you to decide.
Thank you.
So I couldn't agree with the professor more in that nobody's going to hold your hands. Nobody's watching you do what you want to do. Nobody's going to help you do what you want to do unless you ask for it and they're there to help you. But at the end of the day, you're the one that's going to have to wake up every day, go to class, study for the test when everybody's out, going out, hanging out, watching a movie, going out to dinner or having a drink or whatever the case may be. You are going to be the one at the end of the day responsible for your life and your goals. So being persistent towards your goals is number one. You should always prioritize things in your life. And for me, education was number one. I finished my degree. At that point, I knew what I wanted to do. I had a goal in mind, and everything I did, I was working towards that goal. I set myself up for my goal. So I went back and got my master's degree because I wasn't good enough with the bachelor's degree. Like, I was improving myself the whole time. If I didn't get the job I wanted because I applied for it and I wasn't the best qualified, I made myself the best qualified. I did that assignment that I wasn't supposed to do, or I took on jobs that I wasn't in my job title. I volunteered for special assignments. I made myself more marketable so I could check off the boxes to get the job that I wanted. Now, every career is different. If it's a medical career and you need this certification for this type of job, always put that priority, have a goal, this is what I want to do, and everything you do is towards that goal. Now, there's going to be personal time. You're going to be able to enjoy yourself in different ways, but if you have a test the next day and your friends are going out, sorry guys, I have a test in the morning. I'm not going out with you. I'm not going to go see that movie on opening night because I have a test the next day. It's just not smart. A lot of times when people fail, they don't have their priorities straight. And it's okay to fail once in a while. Like, personally, I didn't pass a test one time. I could have had the job 8 years before I had the job. So it being persistent in your goals, always making yourself better or more marketable for the job you want, the skill set that you're going to have to learn in order to perform the job better, then you need to do that. And that's what persistence is to me.
Thank you. Once again, we would like to thank you.
I got one thing to add.
Go ahead, sir.
We figured out, we kind of came up with an equation on for every year that you miss of college, how much money you're losing. So if you don't start exactly, or the time from high school, some of you all even have college credit, right, in high school? We've had kids that graduated at 19 years old with a degree, a bachelor's degree, 20 years old. But for every time that you miss a year of college, you lose at least $50,000 a year. So if you do the math, if you miss 4 years of college, if you start late like I did, I lost $200,000. Average pay for a college graduate, about $50,000 a year, right? More or less. So you got to put that in assumption. Would you rather work at a burger joint that gives you $6,000, $7,000 a year in comparison to $50,000 for just sacrificing some of your time and working hard to get something better? And one thing I also learned, if you think you're not smart enough for college, you'll be surprised. Some of my students, and they're the future engineers. One of my classmates couldn't speak English, and he's one of the top engineers for the state. But he was persistent, and he was resourceful, and he had other attributes that made him successful. So each one of you here has attributes that are strong in. You could be resourceful, not the smartest cat in the room, but you're capable of getting things done. Does that make sense? And one thing I heard that stuck with me, I'm going to ask you guys this. What do you call the medical student that graduates last in their class? Doctor. Does that make sense? He's still a doctor. Thank you.
Thank you. Once again, thank you each and every one of you for being here with us this morning. We appreciate the time that you took to come out and speak to our students. We look forward to our partnership and continued work together.